Before we begin, take one slow breath, in through the nose, and out through the illusion, because what you're about to hear is not the Buddhism you've seen in quotes on social media, not the beginner-friendly meditation app version, and not the peaceful, watered-down spirituality that fits neatly into modern society. What you're about to hear is the Buddhist code, the hidden psychological mechanism that breaks the matrix from the inside. This knowledge was once reserved for monks, mystics, and those prepared to dismantle their inner universe. Today, you're going to hear it. This is Buddha Unfiltered, and if you're listening, it means you're not scared to look behind the curtain. Before we begin, drop a comment. Backhand index pointing right. I see the illusion. Now let's step into the forbidden chamber of the mind. Part 1. The Matrix is not out there. It's in you. Modern people believe the Matrix is a digital prison, a simulation created by machines, or a metaphor for government control. But the Buddha revealed something far more terrifying long before the idea of technology even existed. The Matrix is psychological, a prison built from beliefs, emotions, identity, and perception. A prison you don't see because you were born inside it. The Buddha called it Maya, the grand illusion, not a hologram, not a trick of science, but the illusion your own mind generates in every waking moment. The Matrix is not around you, it is you. It's your unquestioned thoughts, your emotional loops, your need for approval, your fear of the future, your hunger for meaning, your craving for identity. The Matrix isn't a place you escape from. It's a program you awaken from. Part 2. The first secret. Your mind creates reality. This is the part they never teach in school, religion, psychology, or philosophy. You don't experience reality. You experience your interpretation of reality. Reality is neutral. Your mind gives it color. Your conditioning gives it shape. Your fears give it shadows. Your desires give it form. The Buddha taught, with our thoughts, we create the world. Today, neuroscience confirms this. The brain doesn't show you the world. It shows you a prediction, a simulation, a story. Your reality is a hallucination you believe in just strongly enough to mistake for truth. This hallucination is the Matrix, and the first code to breaking it is this. Backhand index pointing right. Reality is not what you see. It is what you think you see. Once this sinks in, your world begins to wobble. The walls flicker. The cracks appear. This is the beginning of awakening. Part 3. The second secret. The self is the master lie. This is the most forbidden teaching in Buddhism. It was protected because it collapses identity, uproots ego, and breaks the psychological matrix so aggressively that unprepared minds can spiral. Here is the teaching. The self you protect is not real. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. The Buddha taught, there is no self, not as an idea but as a direct insight into the nature of consciousness. The you believe you are is a moving pattern of memories, stories, feelings, impulses, fears, desires, labels, habits, reactions. You are a process, not a person, a stream, not a statue, a moment-by-moment construction, not a fixed entity. The Matrix controls you by making you believe you are the character in your inner story. But you're not. You are the awareness watching the character. And once you see this, the Matrix loses its grip. Part 4. The third secret. Thoughts are the code of the prison. In the modern world, we treat thoughts as truth, as identity, as commands, as who we are. But Buddhism reveals the truth. Thoughts think themselves. You do not choose them. You are not the thinker. Thoughts appear. Thoughts change. Thoughts fade. Thoughts contradict. Thoughts glitch. If you were truly the thinker, your mind would obey you. But it doesn't. Thoughts are the Matrix's code, and the moment you stop believing them, they lose their power. This is the basis of mindfulness. Backhand index pointing right, you observe thoughts. You don't become them. When you watch thoughts instead of obeying them, you expose the architecture of the Matrix. You become the witness, the observer, the one who sees the illusion but is not trapped by it. This is the step that terrifies the ego because the ego is a thought pretending to be a person. Meditation is not relaxation. It is deprogramming. A controlled human reacts. A free human witnesses. Part 5, the fourth secret. Emotions are the chains. Desire controls the surface. Thoughts control the story. But emotions, they control the core. And the Matrix uses this perfectly. You don't question reality when you're scared, when you're angry, when you're ashamed, when you're attached, when you're desperate, when you're overwhelmed. Emotion hijacks perception. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you feel. But the Buddha taught, backhand index pointing right, emotions are sensations plus interpretation. That's it. A tight chest, a racing heart, a warm flush, a memory, a label. The Matrix convinces you, I am afraid. I am angry. I am broken. I am not enough. But these are illusions built from habit. You are not the fear. You are not the anger. You are not the sadness. You are the one who sees them. The moment you witness an emotion without becoming it, the chains begin to crumble. This is the secret modern society never teaches. Emotion is not identity. Emotion is weather, passing storms, passing waves, passing code. The Matrix collapses when you stop identifying with emotional programming. Part 6, the fifth secret. Impermanence is the escape hatch. This teaching is so simple most people ignore it. But it is the pressure point, the code crack that makes the entire illusion fall apart. Everything changes. Every thought, every feeling, every desire, every fear, every moment, every identity. Nothing stays. Nothing holds. Nothing remains. This terrifies the ego because the ego depends on continuity. Without continuity, there is no you. But impermanence is the key that breaks the Matrix. When you realize that everything you cling to must dissolve, you stop clinging. And when clinging stops, the illusion shatters. This is why Buddhist monks meditate on impermanence. Not to be stoic, not to be detached, but because impermanence reveals that the Matrix has no solid foundation. It is temporary. It is flickering. It is unstable. It is illusion. Impermanence is the backdoor of the simulation. Part 7, the sixth secret. Craving is the glue of the Matrix. Here is where we cross the border from psychology into the forbidden territory of awakening. The Buddha said, craving is the root of suffering. This means, backhand index pointing right, craving is the programming code of the Matrix. Every craving, emotional, psychological, physical, is a thread that ties you to illusion. Craving creates the me that must be satisfied. Craving creates the future you chase. Craving creates the fear of loss. Craving creates the story you live inside. Craving makes the Matrix feel real. Take away craving, and the illusion collapses. This is why enlightenment is described as the extinguishing of craving. Not by force, but by deep understanding. When craving weakens, identity weakens. When identity weakens, illusion weakens. When illusion weakens, awakening begins. Part 8, the seventh secret. Mindfulness is the original red pill. Mindfulness is not relaxation. It is not a wellness trend. It is not a breathing exercise. Mindfulness is the moment you watch the Matrix from the outside. It is the shift from, I am thinking to a thought is appearing. I am angry to an emotion is passing. I am scared to fear is arising. I am this self to awareness is observing. This shift is so small yet so massive that it cracks reality open. Mindfulness is the exact moment you step out of the story and into consciousness itself. You are no longer the character. You become the screen on which the movie plays. This is the secret power that monks trained for years to develop, because once you stabilize this awareness, the Matrix cannot touch you. Thoughts lose power. Emotions lose ownership. Identity loses weight. Craving loses fuel. You become awake inside the simulation. And once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep. Part 9, the eighth secret. The ego is a glitch, not a self. Most people imagine the ego as arrogance or pride. But in Buddhism, the ego is something much more subtle and much more dangerous. The ego is the process that says, I am the one thinking these thoughts. I am the one feeling this emotion. I am the one who must be protected. I am the center of the story. But here is the forbidden truth. Backhand index pointing right, the ego is a glitch, a misidentification, a false center your mind assigns to experience. It's like the cursor on a computer screen, a marker, not a being. The ego feels real because you've believed the glitch your whole life. But when you look for it directly, when you try to find the self that thoughts belong to, you discover something shocking. There is no thinker behind the thought. There is only the thought. There is no self behind the fear, only the sensation. There is no experiencer behind experience. Experience simply happens. The ego is a ghost the matrix convinces you is solid, so you continue playing the character. The moment you see the glitch, the moment you realize the ego is a process, not a person, the matrix starts to collapse. Because the matrix needs you to keep believing in you. Without the illusion of a self, the illusion of a world falls apart. This is why, in the deepest stages of meditation, Buddhist monks laugh spontaneously. They realize the whole thing was a trick. The matrix wasn't out there. It was in the idea of me. Part 10. The ninth secret. The world you see is a mirror of your mind. This is the teaching that rewires perception forever. The Buddha said, we see the world not as it is, but as we are. Everything you see in others, their actions, their judgments, their flaws, their cruelty, their kindness, is filtered through your conditioning. Two people never see the same world because they don't have the same conditioning. A fearful mind sees threat. A wounded mind sees rejection. An egotistical mind sees competition. A craving mind sees problems. A peaceful mind sees clarity. The world mirrors back your internal programming. This means that reality is customized, not universal, not objective, not fixed. The matrix you live in is built from your psychological patterns. Change your mind and you change your world. This is why awakening begins internally, not by fixing society, not by changing others, not by rearranging the external environment. Freedom begins where illusion is manufactured, inside the mind. Part 11. The 10th secret. Enlightenment is the collapse of control. People think enlightenment is bliss, light, or supernatural power. But the Buddha taught something far more radical. Backhand index pointing right, enlightenment is the collapse of the illusion of control. You stop trying to control who you are, what you feel, what people think, how life unfolds, how the story should go, what you deserve, what should or shouldn't happen. Enlightenment is the moment you see reality does not belong to you. It never did. Your suffering was never caused by life. Your suffering was caused by the belief, I can make reality obey me. When this belief collapses, when control is seen as the illusion it is, a freedom so vast opens in the heart that people weep when they first feel it. Not because life changes, but because the need for life to change dies. This is why awakened beings radiate peace. Not because the world is peaceful, but because they no longer demand it to be. They stopped fighting the flow. They stopped rewriting the script. They stopped forcing the river to move. They surrendered their illusion of control. And in doing so, they broke the matrix. Part 12. The 11th secret. The moment the matrix collapses. Awakening doesn't happen in stages. It doesn't happen over months or years. It happens in a single moment of pure clarity. It looks like this. A thought arises. You see it. You don't identify with it. You don't resist it. You don't follow it. You let it pass like a cloud crossing the sky. Then an emotion arises. Heat in the chest. Tightness in the stomach. A wave of pressure. You witness it without calling it me. And then the collapse begins. You realize, I am the awareness watching the thoughts. I am the awareness watching the emotions. I am awareness itself. I was never the story. Identity dissolves. Fear dissolves. control dissolves. And for the first time, you experience reality without the filter of me. This is not bliss, not euphoria, not a cosmic explosion. It is a quiet but devastating clarity, like waking up from a dream you didn't know you were dreaming. You open your eyes and realize the dream was never real, but the awareness watching it always was. This is the crack in the matrix. Once it opens, it never fully closes again. Part 13, the 12th secret. The path is not to become more, but less. In the modern world, spirituality has turned into self-improvement. Become your best self. Raise your vibration. Manifest your desires. Unlock your potential. But the Buddhist path is the opposite. You don't become more. You become less. Less attached. Less reactive. Less fearful. Less identified. Less controlled by craving. Less dominated by thought. Less trapped in emotion. The Buddha said enlightenment is, backhand index pointing right, the extinguishing of illusion, not the gaining of power, not the achievement of perfection, not the strengthening of identity. Enlightenment is the undoing of the illusion of self. The matrix breaks when you stop feeding it. Part 14, the 13th secret. Letting go is the final key. If you remember nothing else from this entire teaching, remember this. Clinging is the root of illusion. Letting go is the root of freedom. Clinging to identity. Clinging to beliefs. Clinging to how life should be. Clinging to pleasure. Clinging to success. Clinging to reputation. Clinging to the past. Clinging to the future. Clinging is the fuel that keeps the matrix alive. Letting go does not mean you lose anything. It means you stop pretending you ever owned it. You stop gripping life and start flowing with it. You stop fighting reality and start seeing it. You stop choosing illusion and start choosing awareness. When clinging dissolves, the matrix dissolves with it. You become untouchable, unshakable, awake. You become free. Final conclusion, your awakening has already begun. You don't escape the matrix by running away. You escape by seeing it. You escape by understanding. This is not me. This is not mine. This is not who I am. Once thoughts lose ownership, once emotions lose identity, once craving loses fuel, once impermanence becomes obvious, once the ego is seen as a glitch, once the self dissolves, the illusion collapses. You wake up. This is the Buddhist code that breaks the matrix. This is the truth you were never supposed to know, but now you do. And if you want to continue this path, if you want to break the illusion completely, drop a comment. Backhand index pointing right. I see the truth. Backhand index pointing right. I see the illusion. Backhand index pointing right. I am awareness. And subscribe to Buddha Unfiltered for teachings no one else will give you. Your awakening has already begun.